Good morning, everybody. How are you all? It is our happy Saturday, our book club review today. We're on episode number 7. For those of you who are just joining us, we are covering in our book club every Saturday morning. We've got a episode, one or two more episodes to go. We are covering the book Watch the Flags by Dr. Conway Edwards. So if you're new to this, welcome everybody. Make sure as you're jumping on that you let me know what city you're from, city and state. We are so happy that you're here. If you've never been on the broadcast before, make sure at the very top of the post that you're giving StreamYard permission to see your comments so that as you're commenting, I can see your picture and we can give you photo credit here on the screen. So again, welcome everybody. Today is Saturday, is it April 1st? I believe it's April 1st. April 1st. And we are going to be covering today the personal growth flag section of the book. So again, welcome everyone. Let's see who we have on here. Hi, Miss Sabrina Green. Thank you very much for joining. Good morning, Queens and Kings. Thank you all so much for joining. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you give me a shout out. Let me know where you're from this morning as you're joining on. Make sure you also share it with some other people so that we can have a good, interesting conversation this morning around dating. And today's topic of discussion is going to be around personal growth and why is it important to make sure that you're personally growing as well as the individuals that you're interested in from a dating standpoint having some growth goals as well. Hey, good morning, Tamika Austin. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, everybody. We'll give everybody a few seconds to jump on, and then we're going to dive right in and get started. Now, you may, if you're new to the platform, you may be wondering, what is this about? Why are you doing this? Where did this come from? Well, I'll just tell you that this came from a personal experience that I had in dating, and I decided to not waste the opportunity to educate other individuals on dating and the hardships and red flags, green flags. And then I happened upon this book, and Dr. Conway Edwards does an amazing job kind of laying out some of the principles of dating and all of the things that are involved from a standpoint of just making sure that you are managing yourself appropriately when it comes to dating. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this simply to be a beacon of hope and of lights when it comes to dating, not only from a Christian standpoint, but from a standpoint of just knowing who you are, avoiding self-inflicted damage, making sure that we're not self-sabotaging ourselves, that we are, taking time to learn more about the woes of the world when it comes out here in these dating streets, because we all know that this is definitely different than it used to be. So as we're going through this journey with dating, the reason I'm doing this is just for education purposes and to also open up dialogue that otherwise you would not get, especially in a standard church setting. So my goal is always to educate, also have fun, also talk about some of our previous topics. We've talked about everything from maturity. Dating takes wisdom. Dating requires you to be knowledgeable. There's so many things that we've covered in the last few weeks. And in this episode, which is number 7, we're going to talk about the importance of motivation, having personal goals, and things of that nature. Good morning, Miss Vanessa Hollis. Thank you for joining. Good morning, Auntie Vicky. Thank you for joining. Welcome, everybody. So we are excited that you are here today, and we are going to be covering personal growth section of the book on today. Let me get there. Okay. And last week we covered sex. So we talked about intentionality, rules for dating when it comes to sex, what you're comfortable with, setting boundaries, learning how to have self-control, knowing whether or not you should engage in sex early on in the dating relationship, what the benefits, pros and cons are of that. So last week, if you missed it, go back and look at episode number 6. Of course, it's on YouTube as Queen Cassandra Haynes. You can check it here on Facebook on my page as well. So it's posted if you want to go back and kind of hear some of the information from last week about sex and dating. So last week it was all about sex and kind of our sexuality, how we choose to manage our boundaries, and establishing timetables of when sex should be introduced, all of those things. So go back and check that out if you're interested in that. So today we're moving forward in the book. We are. This is episode 7. Today we're going to talk about personal growth. Um, Personal growth is all about becoming the person that God intends you to be. So again, if you don't serve what the traditional Christian, what we call God, we're talking about your creator. So your creator, and I believe as a Christian, my creator has a plan with me in mind. The Bible tells us that he knew us before we were formed in our mother's belly, which means that he had purpose for us when we were born. And so this particular chapter, we're going to talk about your own personal growth and why it's important to have certain things in place as you enter into dating, because as you grow and as you live and as you learn, the goal should be for us to get better. It should be for us to be better humans, to be better adults, and for us to be ready to embrace someone when we choose to date and bring them into our lives. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of us still have a lot of work to do when it comes to dating. So we're going to talk a little bit about today the personal growth goals and what that's all about. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Miss Valerie Collins. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, everybody. So we're going to talk about here the first red flag in the book. It mentions, again, we're covering the book, Watch the Flags from Dr. Conway Edwards. If you're not familiar with it, please check it out on Amazon. He also has one community church that you can order it from as well. So in this book, he's talking about red flag number 1 is, and when it comes to personal growth, is when they are not okay with being single. Okay. So let's just dive right in. So when you think about dating and thinking about where you've ended up, so whether it was a result of marriage, of divorce, maybe you're single and just never been married, you had a bad relationship, wherever you are right now as a result of what's happened in your life, you've got to understand that it is important to value each stage of your life. So whether you're single and you've never been married, or you're single because of divorce, you may be single because of the death of a spouse. You might be single because, things didn't work out. You were engaged and the engagement didn't go through. There's so many things that could happen that can cause us to end up being adults who are living a single life. So you've got to understand that the first thing you have to do is accept that it's okay to be single. That doesn't mean anything wrong with you. That doesn't mean that you're not equal. It doesn't mean that you haven't reached a certain level in society. That singleness is a gift, which is part of what he says in the book, is that we've got to embrace the fact that it's okay as a person who's dating to be single. It says singleness itself is a gift, but people struggle with singleness like a hurdle, like it's something you got to overcome, like it's a disease to recover from, like it's a jail cell to escape from. A lot of us that are single do not look at being single in a positive light. We don't look at it as the opportunity to invest in ourselves, to be selfish for a while and do things only for ourselves. We don't look at it as the time for personal investment to see what, God really wants to do in your life. We don't look at it as a time that you're truly just free to be able to explore. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. But the first red flag is when you meet someone and all they talk about is they've got to be married. They want to be in a relationship. They can't wait. They feel incomplete without it. That is a red flag, because in the book, he's stating that you have to be comfortable with where you are in life in order to value when your status changes. So singleness itself is a gift. We should not struggle with singleness and look at it as it's a roadblock. It's something that is just a sickness. Like, oh my God, why am I single? What's wrong with me? Why can't I be with somebody? Why is God punishing me? We should not feel that way concerning being single. As we are looking at our lives, it should be that we are looking at this as a way of a time and a season that we have in our lives. And some seasons are longer than others. Sometimes in our lives are longer than others. But this should be a time where we're investing in ourselves. So it talks a little bit about also in the book about the green grass syndrome. Whatever we have, we want the opposite. Okay. Sometimes we call this keeping up with the Joneses, where, you want what the other person has. You're never satisfied with where you are. You're single, but you want to be married, and the married people want to be single. So there is this thing that I call it the green grass syndrome, and that's my own name, where you always look at the grass on the other side and you feel like it's better than what you have. But I want to challenge you today to look at your singleness in a different light, to look at it in a way that you see, you know what, for this time in my space, I don't have anybody in relationship with me. And during this time, I'm going to find out who I am, what I like to do, where I'm at, why I'm going to value this season, because during this time in my life, I don't have to worry about anybody but me. Okay. And so we understand earlier in some of the other episodes, we talked about marriage and relationships require you to be selfless instead of selfish. So in this time of being single, you should be a little selfish, which means you should be focused on what things you like, you desire, you want, so that you can be whole, complete, missing nothing. And when offer the person that's coming into your life a true experience of who you are. So again, the green grass syndrome is single people want to be married people want to be single. It both has its pros and cons. You've got to be the one to decide what you need in your life. Good morning, Tarantula. Thank you so much for joining. Good morning. So again, we don't want to envy what anybody else has. You want to make sure that you are taking advantage of where God has you in this point in your life. The next point in the book, it says it's possible to learn to be content with your singleness. It just may save you a load of heartache. So as we're leading into this chapter of the book, he begins to discuss what we call being discontent, which means not accepting the fact that it is okay to be single, where you're not comfortable, you're antsy, you're desperate, you get into that mode where you just got to have somebody. You're going from person to person, trying to feel happy, trying to find that joy. You're looking for fulfillment from things that are outside of you. So I'm going to encourage each of you that are listening today that are not married or in relationship to take some time and learn and understand the word contentment. What does it really mean? Does it mean that you have to stop aspiring to be in a relationship? No, it does not mean that. But it does mean that you're taking the opportunity to really understand why you want to be in a relationship. You should know why you're so interested in a relationship. Are you looking for a partnership? Are you looking for companionship? Are you in it for the finances? Are you looking for someone you just don't want to be lonely anymore? Is there purpose behind your reason for dating? Are you looking to build something with someone else? You should understand why you're single and why you want to be married, why you're aspiring for a relationship. And you should be content until you get to that point. So you got to learn, why am I not happy? Why am I repeating these cycles? Why do I keep going through this? It's because you're not content with who you are. You're not content with your status. And this book, in this chapter, is challenging us to become more content with who we are as a single person first, so that you can save yourself the heartache of being discontent and getting into relationships that are not ordained for your life. He talks about discontentment being the time when we endanger ourselves by trying to force the situation, moving to marriage too fast, or marrying out of desperation slowly. So I thought this was very interesting. What he's talking about, when you're discontent, when you're not satisfied with just being in the status that you're at in your life right now, you endanger yourself by forcing the situation. Some of us chase people down. Like, the person may show a little bit of interest in you. And then the next thing, you're calling all the time. You're the one that's putting forth all the effort. You're the one that's making all the dates. You're the one that's always online, checking on them. They are not giving you that same vibe, that same effort back. But because of our discontentment and not wanting to be alone, we try to force the situation to happen. We try to force the love to happen. We try to force it. Again, last week when we talked about about sex, we said that it's always better for it to happen organically. Not that you're ever pushing the issue, but if it's going to happen, it should happen organically. It should be a consensual thing between two people in the same zone that decide to do that. But it can't be you're forcing yourself. You can't make anybody love you. You've got to be able to be happy with who you are, be content in your singleness, and allow it to unfold in an organic way. But when you are discontent and you are not happy with where you are in your life, then you will end up marrying too fast. You will end up rushing it because you're like, oh my God, I finally got the person. And then the next thing you know, you have latched onto them with all you have. And at the end of the day, you're moving too fast. Good morning, Miss Donna. Thank you so much for joining us. So we've got to be content with where we're at, because when you're discontent, it causes you to put yourself in danger, moving too fast. Or the other concept he talked about was moving out of desperation slowly, which means you become attached to this person and you realize pretty early in the game that this is not the end result. They're not playing for keeps. They're good to have around. You love them at this point, but they are not your purpose partner for life. And you end up marrying them out of desperation slowly, which means, you've heard of people being engaged for 6 years. They've been together 15 years, still not married. You've been in situations where the person has been together for 10 years and they decide, okay, well, I guess I might as well marry you. I've been with you this long. Out of desperation, you marry that person through a slow grind. When truth of the matter is, maybe they're just not the right purpose partner for you, but you've decided that you don't want to be alone. You don't want to be by yourself. So you're discontent, you're not happy, and you're going to settle for whatever you have. And that is a place where we don't ever want to be in our lives, is that we are settling for what we have because we are discontent and not happy with where we are. So he goes into that and he says the next principle of this is that people who marry out of desperation, you're ignoring the signs. You see the red flags. And we talked about especially the character red flags. That's big for me. If I am dating you and I see your character and it does not match where I know matches me and where I'm going in my life, I've got to cut you off. Because that I'm not ignoring the signs anymore. I've ignored them in the past and I did make some bad decisions. Okay. But I'm learning through this process along with you all that you cannot become desperate. When you allow yourself to enter into desperation, you will overlook things that normally would be glaring red flags. But because you've decided, I don't want to be alone, I'm just going to settle for this, then you begin to ignore the flags. You compromise your standards. Come on. Do you compromise what are the standards that you have set for yourself? Do you know what your standards are? Have you taken time to think about those things that are just deal breakers? And then when you get in desperation, though, the deal breakers become a little less important, and that's never where you want to be. Because if you've decided that something is a true deal breaker for you, being desperate does not change that. I mean, it's still a deal breaker, but you've decided that maybe it's not so bad. No, you're compromising. Let's not do that. It says, and it distorts your vision of marriage, making marriage an idol. So he talks about in the book, marriage being an idol. And I wanted to read that because I was like, wow, that is very, very interesting. It says, marriage used to symbolize a bright, stable future that leads to joy. But now it's a little more than a relationship status that the person craves, regretting what made it special. Marriage has become an idol when you enter into desperation. So he's talking about a desperate single person who once dreamed of a beautiful marriage with a wonderful spouse now craves an average marriage with any spouse. Listen, desperation can cause you to change your mind about what you already know works for you. Again, I'm going to read that again. It says people who are desperate distort their vision. A desperate single person who once dreamed of a beautiful marriage with a wonderful spouse now begins to crave just an average marriage with any spouse. So because of desperation, it allows you to change your viewpoint of what you have as ideal for your life. So you begin to settle, change your standards out of desperation. So this is so important for us to understand that our personal growth goal should be for us to be content, to accept our single status so that we can be ready when the person does approach us or we approach them. We're in a good mind frame. We're not desperate. We can take our time to get to know them, and we can move at the right pace instead of rushing things along. While you're single, you can pursue both personal growth and special endeavors in a way that you won't be able to later. Okay, so maybe you've got a hobby, maybe there's something you always wanted to do, but because you've entered into desperation, you're so focused on relationships and you're so focused on marriage that you are not venturing out to try something new. I mean, you can take risks when you're single because you don't have to come home and explain it to anybody. If you want to go zip lining, you can go zip lining. You don't have to explain to anybody why you want to do it. You can go do it, have fun, be safe, and enjoy yourself. You don't have to explain anything to anybody. You can do some things in your life when you're single, when you're in this season that you wouldn't be able to do later because it'll be more difficult once you're in a relationship. Because remember, relationships, we said, require you to be selfless instead of selfish. So once you get into a relationship, there are certain things that if you're going to do it right, you've got to reconsider because you got another person to think about. But while you're single, and you should be invested in your personal growth, what things you're going to do, what things you want to learn, what things you're going to do, and venture out into some special endeavor, something you've always wanted to do. Maybe you've always wanted to do make a wish and go make a child's wish come true. Maybe you've always wanted to work with the Red Cross when they have disasters. Maybe you've always wanted to be a part of a beauty pageant and you never had a chance to go through that. Maybe you always wanted to go ice skating and you never did it. Maybe you always looked and saw that hot air balloon and said, I wonder how it feels to be that close in the sky to God. And maybe you need to go get in a hot air balloon and just try it. You are single. You don't have to explain that to anybody. You're in that season in your life where you can take time and then venture out and do the things you want to do. While aspiring to be married, the goal is to be okay with singleness for as long as you're single. So again, we're talking about personal growth, personal investment. The goal is to be okay with being single, be okay with being where you are until that time comes for you to change. That's absolutely right. Good morning. No explanation or permission. That's right. Permission needed. Because when you're in a relationship, again, you've got to be able to, be considerate of the other person. And so when you're single, you can do a lot more things you want to do. Maybe you want to change your hair. Maybe you want to do it. You don't have to question. You don't have to explain why you're doing the things you're doing because you are in a phase of your life where you are single and you can do more without the explanation. Very good comment. The next part of it, he's saying, learn to spend time with God and grow as you engage with the Bible and prayer. So again, this book is written from a Christian standpoint. Again, if you're not a Christian, that's still okay with learning the principles of this book because you're going to apply it to whatever religion you are in. So with us being Christians, of course, this is written from the Christian standpoint that during this time of being single, you are spending time with your Creator. You are going to grow and engage with your Bible. You're going to spend time with prayer, even when it comes to this. And let me tell you something. As a single woman, it's easier for me to spend time with God, to spend more time in the Bible and prayer because I don't have the worries of catering to my husband. When I was married, I had to focus time, kind of carve out time to have that dedicated time for prayer and to read the word. But guess what? When you're single, you can do it whenever you want to. There's nobody waiting there for you to turn over and do other things, if you get what I'm saying. Okay. So if your time is at night before you rest and allow yourself to be at peace, if you want to get with God, then you can do that, and you can do it until you're ready and drift off to sleep and go to sleep and sleep well. But when you're in a relationship, especially in marriage, do you have to cater to the needs of your spouse before you go to bed for the night? And I'm trying to be politically correct with what I'm saying. But what I'm telling you is, as a woman that wants to be catering and loving toward her husband, I can't get into bed every night with the Bible and want to fast and pray at night because my husband has need for me for other needs. Okay. So when you've got to take advantage of this time that you're single, especially ladies, to engage with God and to worship God and to be in his presence as much as you can. Because when that other person enters the picture and you've got to cater to them, then some things will be limited. And yes, God is always going to be first. And yes, God is always going to be the focal point of your life, because you know that without him, you would be nothing. But the duties of a wife require you to do those in a different way. So as you're thinking about this time that you are single in your life, you've got to understand that this is your time to be spiritual, be deep, pray all the time. You can fast, you can do all those things, because when you get that special person in your life, those things will recalibrate. And you may not be able to be in your prayer closet for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night, or whatever you do, because you're going to have somebody else that you're going to have to help cater to their needs as well as them catering to yours. And you won't be able to always be able to do those things in the magnitude that you can do them when you're single. So the gist of this is that learning to develop your relationship with God while you're single helps you have that foundation so that when you get married, you are good to go. All right. Remind yourself that you are trusting God for the plan for your life. Again, during this time that you're single, that you're learning to become content with being by yourself, you got to know it won't always be like this. I know God has a plan for my life. He has somebody special that he's going to bring to me. You're going to do your affirmations. You're going to do all those things to manifest in your life what you want to have happen. But I'm going to trust that God has a plan. He's not going to leave me out here by myself. He's got some plans for me. I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to grow personally. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to do self-care. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to work on my childhood issues. There's so many things you can do to fill up your time and your life as a single person. That way, when you enter into a relationship, you are giving that person the best you can offer them. You are giving your whole self to them in a way that's not damaged, and that you've done your work. Who wants to be with someone that you can't holistically be yourself, because they have all the baggage of the past that they're dragging into your new relationship? So again, you've got to trust God. You've got to understand that he has a plan for your life. Hey, everybody. Hey, y'all. Good morning. Welcome. You've got to trust that he's got a plan for your life. And while you're single, you've got to be investing in yourself so that you know that you're ready when that opportunity and that time comes for you to meet that special person. Okay. The next part of the book, he's talking about being single requires patience. Yes, God's timing may be different. So you have to avoid thinking and forcing yourself to feel that you must get married by a certain age or stage in life. And I'm a victim of this. I was 30 years old when I first got married. Most of my friends were already married. I was like, I got to get married. I got to have kids by a certain point. I'm going to be high risk if I don't hurry up and have a baby. I had so many wrong ideas about why I was getting married at the age of 30. Well, guess what? Here I am at 46. I still don't have any kids. God did not have that in the plans for me. But the biological clock ticking was a thing back then for me, because I'm like, oh God, I'm 30. I don't have any children. I'm not married. What is going on? My life is not going to be what I planned it to be. Well, you know what? It's still not. 16 years later at 46, I still did not satisfy my biological clock. Okay. So, but God has afforded me to be in the lives of so many children, so many young people who are always attracted to me. So I've been able to fulfill those desires in other ways. So you've got to know, you got to give yourself time, be graceful with yourself. Don't force yourself. Don't allow your mindset to cause you to get into a situation because you're thinking, I'm running out of time. Well, guess what? If you're a Christian, especially, you serve a God who's the God of time and space, and that he can make one day be like 1,000 years. So you're not running out of time. What he has for you is going to happen. It's going to manifest, but you got to do your work. And for those of us who've been damaged through going through those bad relationships, you got to do therapy. You got to work on yourself. You got to work on your mindset. You got to get rid of your baggage. There's so much work to do while you're single that you should be investing in yourself. So instead of worrying about, if I don't have a person, I'm not okay. You are just fine like you are right now. Can you just accept that? You're just fine where you are. And this is your time for self-investment so that you can get they call it in the business world, ROI, a return on your investment. But you can't get a return, which would be a better life, a healthy relationship when you do meet that person. You can't get that return if you haven't done the work up front. You've got to make some personal investment and personal growth in your life so that you can have that return on your investment when you get into the relationship with the person that's coming into your life. Because I believe that every person that is taking time and being a part of this book club, that special person is coming into your life. And I am just elated and so excited to be able to hear the testimonies that are going to come after this, after we've taken out time, invested time every Saturday, going through the principles of this book, learning how to date the right way, setting our boundaries, working on our personal goals, looking at our challenges, doing the homework each week. We're going to end up in a much better spot when this is over, and that special person is going to come, and you're going to be in such a better place to receive what's happening in your life. I speak that into your life, and I hope you receive that. I definitely am receiving it for myself. It says, so avoid thinking that it's got to happen at a certain time or by a certain stage in life. Most of us had the dreams of the white picket fence and all the things that we wanted early on. And so we know that, that it doesn't always work in our timing. And so God's timing just may be different. If we're following the divine plan that he has for us, wouldn't it just be better to just receive it in the way that he's doing it? It'll save us a lot of trouble. Man, if I had not rushed because I felt like my biological clock is ticking and I got to have a baby before I hit 30, I would have made a different decision. I'm just being honest. But, it ended up the way it ended up because it was not in God's divine plan for me. So again, I just want to encourage, that's right. Let's do the work now so that when it's time for you to engage and to do what you need to do, then you are ready. All right. Let's move on. So the next part is talking about what can you do while you're waiting. So you're going to exercise thankfulness. As thankfulness will be a check when you have times of self-pity. So yes, let's be real. As a single person, there will be times where you feel sorry for yourself for being single. Because again, we said most of us look at single as a punishment. We're not looking at it as a time of reward and a time to be selfish and just do what we want to do. We're looking at singleness as a punishment. So there will be times where self-pity will creep in and you will feel sorry for yourself because you are not married, you're not in a relationship, you're not whatever. But he's encouraging us in this book to exercise thankfulness during this time, to give yourself a self-check to say, you know what, I may be single, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I can eat what I want. I'm thankful that I don't have to cook for a family. Maybe, I don't have a hungry husband who's rushing me to come home from Walmart. I'm thankful. If you take time to think about, and as men, since there are some guys on today, if as a man, you should also be thankful. You know what? I don't have to cater to a woman. I don't have to ask her what she needs. I don't have to put her first. I could take this time to be self-absorbed and work on me. So this time is to be thankful, but self-pity will come. It will come. It will come. It will happen to us all as single people. But we've got to understand that we got to check ourselves, because actually singleness can be a gift. When you are single, consider what you can enjoy and participate in. Again, you don't have to explain it to anybody. You don't have to provide a reason why you're doing what you're doing. So think about what you can do. But the biggest thing, I want you to learn you. There's so many of us that have spent so much of our time catering, being a nurturer, provider, all those things for other people, and we haven't invested in ourselves. Some of us don't even know what really makes us happy inside. So you've got to take time and really just learn you. Certain people have been caregivers their whole lives. They've always had children at an early age. I know my mother has been a caregiver for a very long time through relationships and then taking care of my dear grandmother before she passed away. And she said to me the other day, I'm just learning me. I'm relearning Linda. I'm relearning who I am. And at her age, it's a joy for me to see her learning herself and venturing out and doing just whatever she wants to do for the day. And it's a blessing to be able to see that she's learning herself. So I want to encourage you that if you've always been the type of person that has always had somebody else in mind, take this time that you're not married to learn you, to do the things that you enjoy. If you enjoy people watching and you want to go sit in the park, go sit in the park and people watch. If you're a person that likes to go fishing and stay as long as you want, this is your time to go fishing and stay as long as you want. You do not have to explain it to anybody. The other thing that I thought he was interesting was he said, don't tie yourself down with high maintenance people, which include friends. If you have some high maintenance friends and all you got to do is cater to them, this is not the season for that. Okay. So if you got some things in your life that are tying you down and you can't feel free as a single person to move and do the things you want to do, don't tie yourself down with those things. That includes people, places, or things. He even said if you have a high maintenance pet, if you like to travel and you go get a dog or a cat or something that requires a lot of attention, then you're tying yourself down in this season. And it's probably not the best thing to do. It's so funny because I love the little miniature curly hair Maltese dogs. I think they are the most gorgeous thing ever. But every time I see them, I say, you know what? I'm going to get me a dog. And then I realize how much I travel and how many things I do in any given week. And I'm like, that poor dog would be neglected. He would not feel the love. So even though I love them and I think they're absolutely gorgeous, I saw a jet black curly hair miniature Maltese that I thought was the most gorgeous dog. It looked like a little teddy bear, could fit in the palm of my hand. I wanted that dog. She was $1,800. And I was about to make that investment. And God said, Queen, no, don't you do that to that little puppy. That little puppy is going to get sick of being in your purse, in the car, everywhere, but at home, enjoying a comfortable life, what a pet should do. So again, he's absolutely right. During this season of your life, do not tie yourself down to things that are high maintenance, because you should be enjoying and making investments in yourself and enjoying the things about being single. So that's just my personal testimony. Y'all know I believe in transparency. I've wanted a dog for years, but every time I go make the move to get the dog, there's something in my spirit that says, Cassandra, don't you do that dog like that. You are not home enough. You are not stationary enough. You always got things to do between ministry and Queen Bling and the book club and traveling on the weekends and going to pageants and all the things you're involved in. That poor dog would be neglected. So don't do the dog that way. Okay. So that's a testament of what he's saying. During this time of being single, focus on you. Don't necessarily tie yourself down with a lot of high maintenance things. Green flag. So the red flag was the person is not comfortable being single, whether it's you or the other party. We got to be comfortable. The green flag is that you both value personal growth. While impressing seems important, because we know when we meet somebody, we always want to impress them. We want to put our best foot forward. It's important for them to see all the great things about us. While impressing is important, progressing is far more valuable. Okay, that should say valuable. All right. Progressing is far more valuable. So while we want to impress people and we want to let them see who we are, all of our value, truth of the matter is progression and their ability to move forward in their life has to be more valuable. Hey, y'all. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Charlene. So in this section, we're going to talk a little bit about personal growth again. So personal growth allows a relationship to reach new depths of enjoyment and complexity. So when you are growing, when you are making investment in yourself and you're giving yourself the opportunity to explore your singleness and all of that, personal growth has to be at the forefront. Thank you, Miss Sabrina. Thank you. Personal growth has got to be at the forefront. You've got to allow yourself to be in a relationship. When you get in a relationship, you got to allow yourself to enjoy the complexity of growing together. It increases your appreciation for the other person and the respect for each other. If you're growing, I'm interested, I'm invested in myself, you're interested, you're invested in yourself. That's actually very attractive to me. If I meet somebody and they've got some stuff going on because I got a lot of stuff going on, then that's attractive to me. If I meet somebody and they have nothing going on and all they want to do is sit on the phone with me all day, they have no goals, that's not going to work. That's not going to work for me, because I have to be able to, in the midst of managing my life, be able to have that relationship with you where you also have some things going on, so that you're not absolutely just sitting somewhere waiting to hear from me, but you've got to be involved and be engaged in some things too. You got to have some growth goals, because I definitely have some. So if you're going to be a match for me, you got to have some business about yourself, because the queen over here definitely has some. All right. So but you got to know yourself in order to make that assessment. You got to do some internal investigation so that you can know what works for you. Increased appreciation and respect for each other grow out of you both having personal growth goals. Personal growth should be mutual. Like we were just saying, if only one of you grows personally, you will be mismatched. Yes. Gauge growth over time. Observe what positive changes you see. Open up the conversation and see if they engage. So this is a helpful hint for dating. So if you're dating, you're getting to know someone, this should be a topic of discussion. It should be, what are your goals? What are you working towards? What do you see yourself moving towards? What's important to you right now in your life? If we end up in a relationship, how would I have to compromise to make sure that you still have space to meet your personal goals? So you should be mature enough to open up this conversation to say, here's where I am, the things that I'm working on. I'm coming into your life to make your life better, to enhance you, to encourage you to grow. And I want to make sure that I'm not doing anything that's going to stunt that in your life. So I want to come and be an asset to you. I don't want to be a liability. So let's talk about our personal growth and what we're going to work towards to have this fulfilling relationship together. What do you want to work on? What do I want to work on? Can we work on it together? Do we have the same, do we have some of the same things that we can engage with together? So you should be mature. Remember, dating requires maturity. It requires conversation and knowledge. So now you have a point of discussion where you don't have to always be thinking about, what am I going to say now? So here's a tip that you can take that gives you a great topic of discussion on a date, on a date night, on the phone conversation. If you're video chatting, this would be a great topic of discussion, is personal growth. So where are you? And if the person cannot articulate what they're working on, what they want to grow in, how they want to, be productive in this life, then they're probably not mature enough to date you. I know that's a mic drop, because we some of us are in desperation and we just ready for a partner. But you got to be mature if you want your life to be happy. Once you meet the person and get involved with them, these are the kind of things you really need to discuss up front so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Some people have no desire to grow. Do not take on someone new who lives a life in a plateau and have no desire to do more. So even if you're retired, you should have a desire to do something. Whether it's, hey, by the end of this year, I'm going to have read 5 more books than I read last year. By the end of this year, I'm going to have my house redecorated and remodeled. Just because you're retired or you're not working doesn't mean you can't have goals. So whatever your state is in life, you've got to have some goals, and you should be able to have a personal growth conversation with whoever you're desiring to be in a relationship with. And if that person is living on a plateau, they have no desire to do nothing different, they have settled in with their life, they're not going to, they're not interested in helping you grow either, maybe that's not the right choice. The lack of motivation, if you're motivated and you have goals and you're moving towards improving things in your life and the other person doesn't, the lack of their motivation is going to make you frustrated. You're going to end up feeling very frustrated with someone who has no goals, is not reaching toward anything, is not working toward anything, has no grind, no hustle, no nothing, whatever the case may be. They're not even aspiring to learn more, learn a new word, read the Bible more, whatever. You should have something that you're working towards. And if that person has nothing they're working towards, no desire, no internal motivation, is going to make you frustrated if you have goals and they don't. The lack of motivation is a character flaw. You should not have to push someone externally for something that requires internal motivation. So again, remember we talked about early on in some of our other episodes that we are not taking on projects. So if the person is a project and they have no personal motivation, I've got to call you to wake you up every morning to get up. I've got to take on all this responsibility to just be in your life. Listen. Lack of motivation is a character flaw. You should not have to push the person for something that they should just have inside. If they don't have that internal motivation, they'd have more work to do. And it's not you. You can't save them. You can't fix that for them. You can try. You can wear yourself out, sis and bruh. Because there's some women out here who don't have no internal motivation. You can wear yourself out pushing a person. But listen, I live by saying that I cannot want more for you than you want for yourself. And if I have to push you and prod you and convince you that you need to do more with your life, then I'm taking on a project instead of a partner. So listen, I can't want more for you than you want for yourself. So if you don't want it, I can't push you there. But you just may not be the right purpose partner for me. You just may not be that. It's okay. There are billions of people in this world. You just may not be the right one. So if the lack of motivation is a character flaw in that person, do not force it. Remember, we talked about don't force yourself out of desperation to be with somebody who has no motivation. You will end up regretting it. You will end up being very frustrated, and you will cause yourself time, energy, and probably money investing in somebody who is not your long-term. Remember, the whole goal of us dating is to play for keeps. We're not out here just dating to be willy-nilly. Okay. So if you're playing for keeps, the goal is to end up with someone that is marriage material that you can be in a permanent relationship with. And if I see early on that you have no self-motivation and I've got to push you to even do the basics, then this is not going to work. I'm going to be frustrated and it's going to not work. All right. So again, lack of motivation. There's something wrong in their character that's causing them not to want to be more, do more. And it's not that you've got to, everybody's not designed to be a millionaire. Everybody's not going to be Oprah Jr. Everybody is not going to be a superstar. But even in your own right of who you are, you should be striving to do something better than you did it yesterday. So if you meet a person that has no internal motivation, probably not the right choice for your life. If you have someone who is ready and has the desire to grow, encourage it and support them. So again, this is where the selflessness, once you meet the person and you're invested in them, your core values are the same, and you realize, hey, there are more green flags than red flags in this. So this may be the one. You've got to see that desire to grow, encourage it. You got to say, you know what? Yes, you are the man. Come on. I like it when you grind like that. What are you thinking about this? Well, what did you think about this? Well, what if we did this? Encourage and support them. Go to the events, be a part, ask questions, want to be involved, because that is something good in them that has them motivated. They're ready. They have a desire to do more. So you got to be that good partner and encourage it. And listen, and when it starts growing, don't get jealous. Don't get envious. That should be motivation for you to do a little bit more. So this should be a take and give feedback. We should be collaborating with each other. I'm encouraging you. You encouraging me. We're working this thing together. We may not have the same interest, but you can encourage me. You know, I'm on Queen Bling. Maybe you could care less about selling jewelry, but you can invite some people to Queen Bling. You can put people in the group. You could see a lady with a beautiful necklace and say, hey, my girl, she sells stuff like that. Here, take a card. Well, check her out on Facebook. Give us some props. You know, come chime in on Thursday nights. See if she got anything you like. That doesn't cost you anything. And I may not be into sports, but you may be a coach. And I can say, you know what? Check my husband out. He's coaching, not my husband. Woo, I might be speaking into existence. Check my dude out. He's doing this over here. He's an entrepreneur. He's got this going on. He knows how to cut grass. He's a landscaper, whatever the case may be. And put it out there. Encourage that doesn't cost you anything, but you're supporting and encouraging that person along the way. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Thank you. Be the best you can. That's right. Motivation. That's right. So at the end of the day, I don't have to do the same thing you do, but I can support and I can encourage what you do. Find ways to share growth goals. It's a reflection of the sacrificial love of marriage. So if your goal is that you're playing for keeps and that you eventually want to end up in marriage, practice it while you're dating. Practice support. Practice giving people encouragement. Practice being that purpose partner while you're dating. That way, when you make it to marriage, it's natural. You've already been doing it. It's not a struggle. So that is all about our personal goals. And so the homework for this week is, what areas of your life are you intentionally improving? So I want you to take some time over the next 7 days till we get back together next Saturday and think about what areas of your life are you going to intentionally improve, which means I'm going to make effort. I'm going to spend time. I'm going to put energy behind improving myself. And I want to improve myself in what ways? Here are some examples. Set a financial goal. By the end of this year, I want to have $50,000 in my savings account. That's a goal. By the end of this year, I plan to have my credit card only at 10% usage. By the end of this year, I want to do credit repair and I want to get my credit at a 750. Those make it a goal that's specific and attainable. Okay. When you set goals for yourself, they have to be specific and attainable. I want you to remember those two words, because in the business world, they teach us that our goals have to be objective, specific, and attainable. So you can use these same principles in your personal life. Your goal needs to be obtainable. It needs to be specific, and it needs to give you something to work towards. So physical goal, a specific physical goal is I'm going to invest in walking twice a week for 30 minutes a day. By the end of this year, my goal is for me to have lost X number of pounds. That's how you make a goal that's specific and attainable. Okay. Some of us, we jump right to, I want to be a millionaire. Well, guess what? You might want to be a millionaire, but what does it take to get there? If your goals are not specific and attainable, you won't make progress. Again, remember, impressing people may be important to you, but progressing is most valuable. Remember that? Okay. So if you think about your goals, what goals are specific and attainable? When it comes to your spirituality, by the end of this year, I want to have read X numbers of chapters in the New Testament. That's specific and attainable. By the end of this year, spiritually, I want to have invested at least 15 minutes a day in consecrated prayer and meditation before God through 4 days a week. You make it specific. And these are just examples I'm making up off the top of my head, y'all. But I'm giving you some goals and some examples of what you can be specific in when it comes to goal setting. Because a lot of us, we don't set goals in our life. We have aspirations, but they're not goals that are specific and obtainable. We have aspirations of, hey, I want to be a business owner. I want to be an entrepreneur, right? But what goals have I set to make it there? I haven't started my LLC. I haven't gotten a business checking account. I haven't started my e-commerce platform. I haven't gotten on Instagram and started me an Instagram or Facebook group. There are steps that are obtainable and specific that you have to work towards to get to where you want to go. So as you talk about personal growth and the responsibility of that in a relationship, you got to have some goals. Emotionally, what goes? Okay, I know that I haven't dealt with some of my baggage for the past. So by the end of this year, I'm going to have gone to therapy, and I've had at least 4 sessions of therapy by the end of this year. I believe in Jesus and therapy, y'all. Jesus in therapy has helped me so much in my life to identify where my pitfalls were, some things that I just could not see. And because of the way where I was in my life, I could not accept the criticism from my family. So going to a therapist, shout out to Ms. Lindsay Eason, going to a therapist has been my saving grace. It has been one of the things that has been a tool in my toolbox. Because as you grow, as you learn, as you get better in life, you should have a toolbox that you can go back to when you need resources and things that have helped you through your life. Some of us have mentors and people that have helped us through our lives to help us grow. So emotionally, what are your goals? It's got to be specific and attainable. So maybe your goal is emotionally, I have always had a problem saying no to people. So if I set a goal around that, it's specific and attainable. By the end of this, when someone comes to me to borrow money this year, my response will be, unless God personally lays it on my heart, the response to people wanting to borrow money for the rest of this year is going to be, I'm sorry, but my obligations do not allow me to do that for you. That's a very nice political way to say no. Because some of us have literally a problem with no coming out of our mouths to people. So I'm giving you some tools today. If I need a specific obtainable goal around my emotions and my inability to say no, then my goal will be, when someone comes to borrow money or borrow something from me or needing something from me, I'm going to respond no. And the way I'm going to say no is, I'm my apology. I'm sorry. The therapist told me I still shouldn't say I'm sorry, but I still do it anyway. But my response is, I'm sorry, but my obligations will not allow me to do this for you right now. And who can tell me that my obligations are not my obligations? How can you tell me I need to give you my money when I'm telling you that my obligations come first? But that's a way to say no. I have a problem, and this is my personal struggle, y'all, sometimes saying no. So my therapist and other people have worked with me through time to come up with some things that I can say when I cannot fathom telling the person no. I've got to say, I'm sorry, but right now my obligations will not allow me to do that for you. You're going to need to find another way. And that helps me to be able to say no, to save myself from never getting my money back. And it keeps me focused on my own priorities first. As a single woman right now that's unmarried, my financial obligations are my obligations. And I should not have to give you my money if I don't want to. But if I have a problem saying no, then I've got to work on that. So that's one of my self-improvement things, is because I'm telling y'all, being on social media has made me a target for a lot of things. But I'm learning through coaching, developing. That's why you got to invest in yourself. Let people guide you to say, Cassandra, it sounds like a good idea, but is it a God idea? Is it something you need to do? Just because somebody asks, you don't have to say yes. You've got to come up with some ways and some goals that are attainable and achievable, that you can say that's specific enough that you can do. So specifically around that area, I've learned how to say, I'm sorry, but my obligations won't let me do that for you right now. And it might sound like a cop out, but it saves me time, energy, and trouble. So hopefully you all get now how to make your goals specific and attainable so that you can have some true things you're working towards as a single person that you want to achieve. All right. So that's our coverage for this week. That's all about personal growth. It's all about you. You're focusing on being single, being a positive thing in your life. You're not a throwaway, a castaway. God has not forgotten about you just because you're not married or not in a relationship. He has plans for you. He has desires for you. He wants you to invest in yourself during this time and allow yourself to learn you. Invest in what you want. Invest in what you know He has called for you to do. And if you don't know that, this is your time to research. This is your time to pray on it. This is your time to go to some seminars, invest in yourself, because this is your time. This is your season. Thank you, Tarangela. Thank you so much. And this is your time to be able to invest in yourself. And if you don't take this time now, when you get in relationship, it's going to be too late. So you got time now to invest in yourself. And I really want you all to do that. So take some time, invest in you, and allow yourself to grow and be comfortable with where you are. Lastly, I want you to be able to subscribe to my Queen Cassandra Haynes YouTube channel. It is growing, and we are housing all of the past episodes from the book club on the YouTube channel. So please go there, subscribe. We are on Queen Bling and now God has expanded us as of last week. We're doing Queen Bling 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. The Tuesdays we may start a little bit earlier, more around 7, since it's an early day of the week. But Tuesdays and Thursdays, we are on Facebook Live with Queen Bling. You can follow me on Instagram under Queen Cassandra Haynes or Queen Bling Accessories LLC. And lastly, if this has been a blessing to you and you want to plant a seed, I'm learning how to also accept when people want to give. So if you want to plant a seed, my Cash App is there. It's the $ Queen Bling Cassandra. All right. I hope this has been great for you all today. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself as well. And hopefully you all have, I'm seeing your comments. So thankful. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate. How do I purchase the book? Okay. So the book is on Amazon. You can also Google Dr. Conway Edwards. This is his name. It looks like this. Conway Edwards, and you can go to his church website, which is One Community Church, and his church has a bookstore. Now, for a while, they were sold out on Amazon, so I was encouraging people to go to his church website, the One Community Church, and go to the bookstore tab, and the book is right there on the bookstore tab. So you can check Amazon. Again, it's called Watch the Flags by Dr. Conway Edwards. You can check Amazon. Also, the One Community Church has a bookstore that you can purchase the book from as well. All right. Well, have a happy Saturday, everybody, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.